plugged in, and switched on. This is the Star We Are live.
Well, folks, ladies and gentlemen, Cowboys Nation, how is it going? This is the Star We Are. It is yours truly, Jimmy J's here. Right below me, you've got Miss Slam and Sammy representing. You've got Landry's Legend and none other than our very, very special guest. Right to my left, your right, I'm not exactly sure. Mr. EJ Savage from Boys in the Zone. How are you doing tonight, my man?
Yeah, man, I'm doing good. Worked a longer shift than usual today, but other than that, I'm good. I got home, had my infant throw up on me, had to change shirts right before I got on here, and but I'm feeling good otherwise.
Good deal.
Living the
Good deal.
life. That's what it
Yes,
sounds like.
yeah.
Yeah.
Speaking of work and everybody, the Star We Are team has definitely been witnessing that. It's been grind time. You may have noticed we're a little slow on Twitter and everything lately. Anybody who might be watching live, work has been at the forefront of everything. Sammy, how's your day been?
Oh God, fantastic. I can't even explain how happy I feel today. I feel like everything is just great. Life is great. Start a job. I don't know. I am just
Nice.
Started his job
all
today.
happy.
Today was your first day at the job?
No, so Saturday was training, quote unquote, even though I did it all. And then today was my first day solo dolo, and I freaking killed it. Like, I'm as good as it gets. I know.
Everybody in chat, round of applause for Sammy. Killed it.
Hey!
Landry, how's your day been, brother?
Yeah, pretty excellent. Sam, like you said, you covered it. First day off in a little while, and got to get back out here and talk a little bit of Dallas Cowboys because I can feel the training camp approaching and a lot to accomplish in the next couple of weeks to get prepared. They have a lot in store.
Yes. So I'm excited. My day's been basic, relax and rest day. Like I said, the grindstone has been heavily turning, and that is going to continue. But tonight we're going to talk a little Cowboys. We're going to loosen up a little bit, jump right into it. What we're going to do, everybody, is we're going to take just a moment to remember one that Cowboys Nation lost recently. Like I said, the Star. I know it's not. It's been a few days, but the Star has been busy, and we haven't really had a chance to throw our condolences, say our piece, take our time. So just really shortly, we'll take a good 15-minute, moment of silence for Mr. Larry Allen, if we can. Rest in peace, big guy. And with that being said, what we'll do now is we'll just kind of toss it around, and everybody just give a little take on Larry. And we'll go guests first, and then ladies first. So we'll toss to EJ and then Sammy, and just kind of tell us, what you might remember, what you think. Talk a little Larry. Go ahead, EJ.
Oh,
Guests
sorry,
and
I
then
didn't
ladies.
know.
No, you're good.
Oh, okay. Nah, man, Larry, I didn't get to watch a whole lot of him, just because I'm
Sure.
pretty young.
Right.
But man, I remember one play in particular, and probably everybody remembers this play with John Madden. He's going and tracking down. It might have been an interception or a fumble or something.
An interception,
Dude,
Yeah.
dude, you know what the guy is as a blocker, as an offensive lineman in general, but just his vigilance and going and going and tackling that guy as an offensive lineman, running all the way down the field and showing his athleticism was something to be seen and heard about. And John Madden, I believe, was on the commentation for that game, and he was just going crazy about that,
Yeah.
rightfully so. But man, you've heard about his like bench press records at the combine and all of these great things he was as an athlete. But if you guys got to watch Emmitt Smith's kind of remembrance video of him and stuff, you could
Yes.
see how infectious of a personality he was and a good character guy he was, a real, just a class act of a human. So, yeah, Cowboys Nation lost a really good one, not only as just a player, but just as a person, a human being. So, yeah, sad to see him, leave Earth. But what was he, like 52? So
52.
So that's the thing I was
Yeah.
going to say. Young age
Yeah.
too. We don't know exactly about that yet, right?
Yeah, so
Yeah.
There may be details. You know what? I haven't looked too much into the details just because who wants to know him? It was
Yeah, I
52.
don't
It
think
was too young. That's what I know.
yeah,
And
too
just to
young.
add a
Yeah.
little bit to the play you were talking about before we let Sammy talk a little LA. Um, when you talk about the tenacity and the vigilance, like I'm going to go get that guy. Did he always have the ability to just run that fast, or was there like one of those supernatural moments,
Something
like
just
one of
Just
those,
like clicked. Yeah.
Gotta make
like
this
where a
happen.
mother lifts a car off her child or something, like I'm going to do
Well,
this and
he
just
could do that natural. That's natural for Larry Allen.
Yeah.
yeah.
I mean, from what I've kind of heard about him, like stories wise, he's kind of cut from that same cloth of like a Wilt Chamberlain, as far as just his ability as an athletic specimen, man.
or a Bo
Crazy.
Jackson or something. He would just
Yeah,
routinely do these things
Right.
that unless you saw them, you'd be like, yeah, okay.
He was just made Texas size. That's all.
Hey, this
Sammy,
guy,
what do you got on
and
Big
to
LA?
EJ on the commentary, and I'm so glad you took that, EJ, because that's the career highlight, amazingly, for Larry Allen amongst 10,000 pancake blocks where people get put into the dirt.
It's one of the all-time sports highlights because
Look, this guy's
like
got a rocket booster strapped to his back.
Yeah, that's
like,
exactly what he says. Yeah,
like he's still standing there, and he tells him as he takes off, and it's actually first of all the taking of the perfect angle. He has no business even understanding like how to take an angle, because that's part of it, right? He doesn't
in pursuit at least.
He's not as fast, but he's real fast for how big he is. Takes a perfect angle and the dive. I mean, so the yeah. Anyways, that's a great one. Well, go ahead, Sam.
Well, kind of the same as EJ. I'm young, enjoying that while I can. And also I was a late bloomer to the NFL in general, so I didn't know too much about him. So I guess a couple things I got to say I enjoyed was, I did hear about that bench press 705. I believe that's insane. That's like 5, 6, 7 of me. So wow. And then of course you just gotta love he was a cowboy. I mean, that's what else is there? I mean, how is that not something to love?
So I'm on the my favorite memory is going to be the bench press. EJ mentioned a few, and I think you said the combine. I think it was at a just at the training facility when he was a Dallas Cowboy, because the video's out there, and I think the whole locker room has stopped basically so that they can watch it. I don't know what the real records are, but I guarantee you they're not too far above that. The bar was bending from the weight that was on it.
Yeah, it's crazy. It's crazy.
And like I mentioned, this guy put people in the dirt in a way where, I mean, he would just throw people down and lay on them.
Yeah, I mean, they were familiar with the dirt whenever they were playing Larry.
Yeah. Like you said, and
I mean, they made friends with the dirt. Yeah.
And Emmitt Smith's success, it's not only him, but I wish we had time to pull up some, highlights. I bet he ran off the left pretty well.
Yeah. Oh,
yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. So for me, if you just want to talk about what he meant to football, like you guys said, ask Emmitt, ask Troy, ask what he meant as a football player and a left tackle and how good he was in the field. And then just to talk about him as a human. For me, I watched a little of him. I'm old enough, unfortunately, to say that I did see a little. I was younger, of course, but because I watched him younger, I did go back and I've watched stuff on him and watched highlights, and his smile, right? His voice and his smile. You could not be, and you could just tell by other people, you can't be in the same room, in the same atmosphere with that guy if he's saying anything or smiling at all without just immediately being infected by it and that energy. And so
that larger than life personality that matches the physique.
That matches everything. It's exactly
Shaq,
what it
right. Shaq style.
100%. So no, RIP Larry Allen. We just wanted to take a little early segment of the show there and pay some respects and take a little minute to talk about him.
Incredible. Is he? I kind of ashamed. I feel like I should know this. He's not in the Ring of Honor. Is in the Ring of Honor.
I could check real quick.
I don't think that he is.
I don't think he is either. It's a very select group.
Well,
and I don't think that a lot of people know that.
Everyone else who won 3 Super Bowls is in there pretty much. Who is integral?
Yeah, he's got to be. Falcon says he is.
Falcon says he is, and so that's feels like confirmation. EJ's going to double check.
From memory, I think I've seen his name in the stadium, right?
I mean, like I said, I feel like I did too, but for whatever reason, I can't just say. Oh,
so it was pretty recent, 2019.
19. Okay.
Good job.
So.
Yeah.
Thank you,
Yeah,
Falcon.
everybody says, yeah, thanks, Falcon. Believes in right on, Greg. Yeah, show off said, what up, guys? What's up, brother? So yeah, Larry Allen, great player, great guy. We're gonna roll right into this next topic here. And if anybody in chat has any questions or anything you'd like to talk about us before the end of the show, Miguel says, how do content creators get all of this signed merch, gifts? This stuff is so expensive. Hard work, Miguel. Lots of hard work, time and effort and dedication, blood, sweat, tears, literally a little bit of your soul. You have to give a little bit of your soul. You have to give 3 toenails, a left arm. It depends on whatever Jerry feels like taxing you that day.
No, but to be honest, the time thing is true. A lot of the stuff we get is training camp is a great opportunity where you're almost guaranteed to get some autographs if you'll be there early enough and get decent enough seats, and it's free. And so if you have the time, that's a good way. And if you're in the DFW area, I mean, there are things if you're looking out for them. Trey Diggs was just at a Verizon dealership with 30 people hanging around last year. And you can just roll up and get a free get a free autograph and so forth. So,
Falcon says do hard work and a credit card bill. No credit cards. I'm not running those up. But no, like Landry said, a lot of the stuff we have, the signed Des jersey was from going, to a Des tailgate.
That's where I got mine.
And being able to just interact and mingle. Des is a player of the people like that, a person of the people, and the ball that's going along with our raffle that we're running right now is I see EJ. The ball that's going along with the raffle again is just a ball that I took around personally, just going to events and going to places and met these players and got them signed, and we're using those for giveaways. So great question, Miguel. I'm not sure how all content creators do. For us, we grind it. We go and put in the work, and we go and we try to mingle with the players and get the autographs, and then we use them to give back. Like I said, we've got some specifics that we cherish and that aren't going anywhere, but for the most part, we want to give back. So
we buy some merchandise, but the autographs are
all unique. Yeah. For anybody that thinks, because I know you can go online and buy signed memorabilia. We have not ever done that. Anything that we've ever given away or raffled has come directly hand-to-hand autographs, and that's the way we're going to try to keep that, from player to person. So,
really good question.
Good question. Yeah, great question.
And we'll give some more away, so stay tuned in.
Absolutely, great plug there, Landry. I have a signed Cole Beasley from California Thanksgiving. Which one? Yeah, nice. There you go. And that's awesome. How it's done. There you go. All right, so we will get it right into some a little more heavy talk, even though RP Larry is pretty heavy, and we'll start with Sam. I'm going to ask Sam, and then we'll pass it to guest on this one. Are you mad at CeeDee Lamb, or is he rightfully holding out?
Okay, so I don't think mad's the word. I don't think I even have any hard feelings. I mean, I understand where he's coming from. But at the same time, that's your team, man. They got to practice with you. You got to, I don't know. I'm not as, I don't know. I think if you're a player for the team, you should at least be there, getting back into the zone with everybody, doing everything like that. But he needs to get paid what he's worth. I mean, Jerry needs to get it out of his butt. Get this man the money he deserves before he keeps asking for more, before he becomes unnegotiable, or I don't know if that's the word. Sorry, but
unaffordable for us.
Yeah, there we go. He needs to get it done. I mean, I feel like we've had plenty of time, ample opportunities, and we don't want to miss it. If we lose CeeDee, what the heck? What the F? I don't even have any words if that were to happen.
WTF.
Yeah.
So EJ, where you at? CeeDee still, not wanting to show up to anything, which we all kind of expected that. Where you at with that?
Yeah, I'm gonna side with Sam right here. I mean, truthfully, I'm not mad at CeeDee. I'm more mad at the front office for this level of obstinance, this incommensurate attitude towards the entire deal and getting done. It needs to get done before now. It needed to get done years ago. As soon as you made the decision to trade Amari Cooper, you should have got CeeDee to the table and been like, hey, Cooper's money's off the table now. We can give that straight to you. and got ahead of the contract and
After 2 years, you're
really,
saying? After
huh?
2 years? After the first 2 years, that's about when Amari was traded?
Yeah,
That would be getting really ahead of it.
I don't even I mean, sure,
Right.
you're getting ahead of it, but at the same
No,
time
I think it's a
is
great idea. I haven't even heard anybody mention it, like, to just pay
well,
him
I
right
don't
then.
think that you could have been 2 years. I think that the re-up would have been at least last year.
Yeah.
So
Yeah, but have
you should
already
have got it.
discussed it and be prepared to do that. Yeah.
Yeah, you should have just been able to do it then because the price would have been so much less than it is now after Justin
Yes.
Jefferson got signed, after AJ Brown got restructured or re-signed, whatever it was, the extension. Um, after Jerry Jeudy was traded and then instantly got a contract with the Browns. Like, what are we doing? And he's not
Yes.
even near the player of CeeDee Lamb. So
Out.
at this point, it's beginning to get to the point where I, as a fan, am like I love watching the games and stuff like that, but I have these low spirits about this front office moving forward. And so because of that, it just makes me have this repugnant attitude towards what is happening on that side so much that I hate even talking about it because it just makes it
Yeah.
grinds my gears. And
Yeah.
it's like this is your best player that you've drafted in so long, it's not even funny. CeeDee Lamb has increased his yards per game by at least 10 yards per game each and every single season. Oh, and guess what? Last year, he doubled that. He went 20 plus yards per game than the year prior. So, what are we doing here? This is one of the best wide receivers in the league. I think he's at least top 3. You have an argument for the best if you're going to build a franchise today because you probably don't take Tyreek Hill over
Yeah.
him. I guess Justin Jefferson, yeah.
It's an argument, but yeah, you factor in
Yeah.
age and everything. Yeah.
Yeah, it should have been done. I have no qualms with CD sitting out and trying to get this deal done because, just as I didn't have the same qualms with Zach Martin doing it last year. He's one of the best players on this team. We got to figure it out moving forward and keep our good players happy so that by the time that it comes where if we get ahead of contracts and other people are getting paid, we can take that money because let's say if you paid him the year prior, he would still be on. You had that 5th year option, so you 1, 2, I think 3, no 2 years at least of that very minimum contract cap hit, and you can allocate that money to other players to better build your team. I mean, you've heard it time and time again from Cowboys insiders, but I'll just be an echo for that, sentiment again.
Yeah. Yeah.
Fair.
So
No explanation. Yeah, I have no explanation for the front office part of it. On the CD side of it, I think I mentioned before. Obviously at this point, you when you're in CD's position, you don't run 10 yards fast until you get paid because you're too close to where it is. I'm serious.
Yeah. Yeah.
And
Yeah.
so not being at camp, no,
And well,
nothing on him. Sam's talking about getting the reps. Yeah, there are certain positions I wouldn't concern myself with wide receiver. One of them, I just gosh. Go ahead.
So you're good with the holdout, like you.
Yeah, I'm good with the holdout, and I don't have any more explanations for pay somebody. Pay
Well,
somebody. There's
and
Dak, there's Micah, there's CD. Someone has to get done. I mean, I don't understand the reasoning. Like you were talking about Dak waiting until around training camp, waiting for leaves to fall. We've talked about. Well, that's all happened, and it's still like I was the one defending the Cowboys when this offseason first started, but I'm getting there with EJ. I can't defend the front office at all. I love the football team. So
Yeah.
sign and all the other people we're talking about.
And to
Yeah.
a point real quick, like imagine if Trayvon Diggs didn't sign his contract prior, in the offseason prior to getting injured week 2 in practice. Like
Right.
imagine how that affects a
Well, he
player.
could
And
end up leaving because you're fighting over money. You got injured. Maybe we don't want to pay you as much.
Exactly.
Someone
And
else will. Yeah.
people will bring up, oh, well, Dak still got his money. No, the only reason why Dak got his money after the broken leg kind of a deal is because there's only one quarterback on the
That's
field.
it.
You know what I mean? So, and not only that, but you've lucked into every single quarterback that was any good for you since Troy Aikman. So, he had an upper leg on that contract negotiation and, took him behind the woodshed and got hit all of his. So,
And to your point, everybody looks into quarterbacks, but when you're getting them undrafted like Romo and in the fourth round like Dak, you just applied the amount of luck that you needed for them to be successful. By almost insurmountable luck. So you're right. Running into Romo, running into Dak is a blessing for me. I'm there's a part of me that's with Sam. There's a part of me that's with holdout. Right? Like I get it. Like I understand that Dak and CD have a chemistry, but you want your guy out there running those routes. You want him catching the ball. You want him doing these. You want all your guys to be together doing all of the football things together, whether it be practice, whether it be lunch, whether it be what. Right. And so for him not to be there, it is a negative.
Yeah, by training camp at least.
By camp at least.
I think we might be past that with Sidarian. Like, I mean, I think it might go further than that.
We definitely could be, but at the same time, I'm right there. I understand Landry, like especially in a contract year, you don't get injured. Now, for me, would even a half a season or a season-ending injury necessarily negate him getting a deal by the end of this year? No, somebody's still going to pay him, and it's still going to be high.
We're still going to pay him.
Probably,
we are going to pay him. It's just a question mark of why not yet.
Why not yet? Okay.
Do you think they would? God forbid, knock on wood, but if he, let's just bring it back to Terrence Steele, Trayvon Diggs, Overshown, those Gallup, those ACL injuries. Yeah. They haven't had good luck with those as of recent.
They just experienced it with Gallup.
So and so we're gonna have to see what Trey Diggs has coming back. Luckily, you have another All-Pro corner, and Gilmore's still out there, and kind of I don't know what's gonna happen with him. It's gonna be interesting because you look at Mike Zimmer; he loves veteran savvy DBs.
Yeah,
and if you brought Gilmore back into the room, because he has been kind of out in the Netherlands right now or whatever,
if you wanted him, you could have him.
Yeah, I think that you could. And, by the way, you got the June 1st money after that contract by Gallup cleared, so you have the money to get Gilmore if you want him.
And so on Gilmore, and I'll ask you real quick what you think about that, EJ. His price, 2, 3, or 4? What do you think? What would we pay for him? Like if we were to bring him back, what does he get?
I really don't care. Bring him back because.
Well, I just mean, what do you think his value is for us? Like 3?
Yeah, I mean, if you could get him on 1, 2, 3, 4.
So do you think maybe Gilly, because he said he wanted to be back in Dallas, but when these other teams start losing corners, because we're sitting here talking about injuries, right? Other teams start losing corners. Could Gilmore, as good as he played last year, all of a sudden in a year where he knows he's making the last paychecks he can make, could he be sitting around saying, just like some other these free agents, they wait until players go down and then say, okay, I can squeeze 2-3 million more out of this team because now they kind of need me. Do you think that plays a factor as why he's still there?
I think that's a huge factor. And even as the front office for the Cowboys, you look at, you've started your mandatory mini camps and stuff. So you've seen these Eric Scotts, these Nashawn Wrights, these lower tier DBs on your depth chart. And you kind of see, okay, have they improved drastically? You're not tied to anybody being Mike Zimmer coming in here. So if you can get somebody that has on the record, like Trayvon Diggs, Deron Bland, Wanye Thomas, so many people have raving reviews of Stephon Gilmore and what he means is just a locker room guy. I don't know how you can approach it with the question surrounding Trayvon Diggs where it's like, this doesn't make sense. I think it makes full sense. You got good ball out of him last year. And hey, if he does fall off of a cliff, okay, you cut your losses. It's not really that much, especially after clearing the Michael Gallup money.
Okay. So real quick, we'll throw out a number. I'll give you my idea of what a CD contract looks like, and then we'll go just counterclockwise. We'll go Sammy, EJ, and then Landry on this. Sammy, are you muted by chance? There we go. I got you. Okay.
Sorry, toys going off in the background.
So for me, I would like to see, and I think because players, while we're talking about injuries again, the main thing that counts is the money that goes into the bank immediately, right? Like the game paychecks are nothing compared to what's my signing bonus, what's my guarantee. What do I know that gets put into my bank account the minute I sign this contract? That way, if those get struck by lightning on the way out the door, I'm good. My family got that at least, right? And so with that being said, I think you could try to go, I would at least try to go 5 years with CD. You could go just under the annual of what Jefferson got, which I think was 30, was it 34, 35?
He got
Jefferson got
35 AP.
30, 35.
APY.
So I think you could try to hit CD at about 32 to 33, right? At 5 years, and just put more of the upfront. You can get him an extra
Guarantees.
maybe 20 to 35. You get anywhere, I would
Yeah.
say probably 25 to 30 guaranteed millions by adding that 5th year. Where if you're still good after 4 years, and if you're still young and you're still playing, you're going to get a third contract, right? Because you can just sit out that 5th year like you're sitting out this one. So everybody knows that that's in play. So I'll just throw out there what's 5 at 32, 100, 162,
62, yeah, 100, yeah, 160 even maybe.
160 even. There you go. So 5, 160 with maybe 130 of it guaranteed. Half of that in a signing bonus, 65. So what, Sam? What do you? Well, if you were paying CD today, what are you giving him? Everything he wants?
No, look,
A
a
lot.
lot. Look, knowing that Justin Jefferson, which is probably his comparison, closest comparison, just got 35 million a year.
35 million. Yeah. So Sam, go ahead. What are you paying CD?
Okay, so you kind of, wow, Jimmy, I'd agree with yours a lot with the 5th year option. I was just gonna say, I mean, Justin got 35, give him 36 for a 4 year. I mean, just to put him right on top where he wants to be.
36 for 4.
Yeah, I mean, he deserves it. I mean, I'm sorry. Ignore that.
Love it.
Does not matter.
No, but you're right. That sounds like a Jerry thing too. Like, I did pay you more. I paid you the highest.
Just so he can have that satisfaction of being the number one. I mean, he knows he deserves it. We know he deserves it. We know we need him. So making him happy and giving him what he deserves, that'll benefit for everybody. But I really like that 5th year option that Jimmy said so much. So I think I'm going to steal your answer and go with that.
Go with 5 years?
Yeah. God, I'd love to see CD for 5 more years. Yes, please.
Yeah, lock it in.
Especially with the way he plays.
Landry, what's your contract look like for CD?
Oh, it's hard. I mean, we spend so much time discussing this amongst each other. I feel like you pretty much on the money with my number there. Gosh, I don't know if I could add anything.
She's in match Justin. You add anything to what Justin got, or was that leaf not heavy enough? Did it fall far enough?
No, it puts him right there. No, but the idea of giving him more of a signing bonus to get him to sign something that doesn't quite match Justin Jefferson, I think that was,
because I just feel like that's what players are at. Like I said, when it comes down to it, and some of these players know. Injuries happen, life happens. 4 or 5 years is a long time. This contract I signed right now, how many M's go in the bank as soon as I sign it?
That's what I mean. So I think you said it well.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I can't sit here and argue over few $100,000 2 years from now on a cap hit and 3 years from now on a cap hit. That's what's going on in the front office. Those are the type of things that are holding it up, in my opinion. These more minimal details.
So AJ, I'm gonna bring you up in the forefront, brother, while we got you on the show, because what I want you to do for us, and because we'll talk another contract situation, somebody we owe money, and somebody who set out the voluntary stuff, but now that it's mandatory, he's back. Mr. Micah Parsons, and you had his brother on your show recently, I believe, and so just kind of give us a little bit of where Mike is at. And I know because there's been some leadership talks. You've got some fans saying, what's he worth in a trade, as if that's a real thing, as if that's real life where you trade Micah Parsons. So kind of tell us a little Micah OTAs and what's going on in that realm.
Yeah, so Micah obviously showed up to mandatory minicamp, and the media wanted to, get some clickbaity titles and whatnot, and of course they get the me and Coach Zim haven't really talked more than 20 so words. They got him basically saying, like, I don't know if there's gonna be if he's gonna use me in this way, but I want to be used this way, kind of an ideology or kind of thought. According to Terrence Parsons, I'll just refer to him as TP from now on. TP told me that there's a little bit of both in that, where he wants to do the best thing for his team and be kind of a chess piece. But also he wants to, put his best foot forward so he can get a big contract too. So, and that happens by him playing along the defensive line and being in advantageous spots for him to get sacks and or pressures. And I think that's completely fine. I think that this whole idea of he's not a team player, he's not a leader, I think that was blown out of proportion a little bit.
Mhm.
And I think you've seen him bring teammates, to boxing and certain things, now with the Bleacher Report stuff, you can definitely tell that Micah likes to have a microphone in front of his face and answer questions and talk and give media, the headlines. But that's just understanding of what he is, a personality, and taking that with a grain of salt because he's an entertainer.
Had a
I
bunch of
think
those
that we've
personalities in the 90s.
exactly, and it's not necessarily a bad thing. Like
Nope.
Michael Irvin was the same way, where he'd love to talk
More
to media.
so.
He wants
The
to,
biggest
yeah,
ever.
Yeah.
exactly. So,
Deion
so
Sanders.
this whole idea of him not being a leader because he kind of likes to talk about himself um, and or talk about what else he's doing. Hey, yeah, I was going to sumo wrestling and I was doing this with CJ Stroud and yada yada yada. I think that's just kind of his personality. I don't read too much into it. However, I will say it is a little bit disheartening just to hear that he's barely spoke to Zimmer, and I don't know if that's necessarily an indictment on Micah more
Right.
so than Coach Zimmer, because
Maybe.
that's your best player on defense. You've got to get in there. You've got to have like, listen, this is the game plan. We're going to use you as a chess piece. You might be playing a little bit more linebacker. We wanted you to sit into these rooms. Like, hey, I know that you're working for your contract. I'm only on a 1-year deal, homie. I got to get you in the perfect place to hopefully get my next contract as well. So it's a give and take. I think that just that little comment was the biggest take I got from that entire sequence with the media. Is just him and Zim have not been talking very much, and that's a little bit. I don't know. It doesn't help my disposition with with how this operation is going.
No, it definitely doesn't. Landry, go ahead. I think you may be on mute, but go ahead and unmute there. And what do you what are your thoughts on that, Micah? Zim not talking, if he's a leader or not?
Yeah, I mean, I didn't necessarily hear the question as it was posed. I stepped away for a moment. But everything I was hearing EJ saying right on the money. He's an alpha, so he's going to talk about himself. He thinks, and he wants to be seen. I made the comment when as I came back in, Dion. He said Irvin, Dion. These are. It's not a bad thing at all.
No.
Falcon's got a comment. I don't know if you got Falcon's comment up there. Said it 100 times, right? Said it 100 times. Micah's just not your style necessarily.
Well, and I think a lot of the confusion too. Alpha doesn't necessarily mean leader.
Alpha means 13 or more sacks in your first 3 seasons. Well, that's what it means.
It does mean things like that.
It means you can't fucking block me.
It means players on my team say that I can play tight end, wide receiver, safety, linebacker, probably corner if I lost 10 pounds. Like
better than the guys
alpha.
who smart.
Alpha doesn't always mean leader, though, is the thing, right? We see it.
Sure,
we see guys. You see, leaders can. We made a post on it recently. Leaders can be locker room bench guys. Practice.
Does your best player have to be your leader?
No, because when you talk about a leader, and Miguel says that
Prescott can do that.
Speaking for Miguel, he just wants to see a situation, full season of dominance. Getting held is definitely hard to deal with.
Oh, don't. I can't. True. That's another topic. We have about 10 minutes left, and that's 30 minutes of me ranting.
I will just another important piece of the puzzle that I forgot to mention, but he added in that the reason why he wasn't at these voluntary camps was just he wanted his body to heal, to be the best version of himself for the team, because he's an undersized rusher and it takes a toll on his body each and every single year. I thought that was very telling, and kind of to what Falcon is saying, like, he's not going to give you the Dak Prescott, answers. He's not going to give you, reading off the teleprompter. He's going to give you who he is and what he truly thinks internally, consciously. So that's not a bad thing. I actually prefer it that way. To be completely honest, I feel like you get a better read of who a player is, and so you can kind of understand this player wears his heart on his sleeve, this player does this way, and so forth, so on. So, yeah.
Right. Yeah. No, because it's like, leaders come in many different. You can have vocal leaders. You can have physical leaders. Like some people lead by like, watch, I'm going to go make this play, and because I made this play, people are going to say, okay, he means business now. Now we have to mean business. It can be done with play. It can be done with words. It can be done with, coaches are leaders, but a lot of the times we always ask our players to step up and be leader. Where are our leaders at? Where are our locker room leaders? Where a coach is a leader. That's that. We only have one leader in all reality. So when you're talking about the guy who's supposed to set the tone and get it done, that's McCarthy. So I hate for so much blame to be like, oh, our leaders need to be at these OTAs. Our leaders, is the coaching staff there? Because then I think the leaders are there. Yeah, go ahead, EJ.
I will say one thing that if there's any pushback on Micah, I will say this. Early after, it was during like Super Bowl week, him and CD were both talking together on the podcast about this next year we've got to take a different approach. Everybody's got to be there grinding from just voluntary all the way to the Super Bowl. That's what it's going to take. And he put that, kind of he put that out into the it's kind of like Jerry Jones with the all-in comments. Like, it wasn't us that put out, hey, we're expecting you to be more of a leader. He put that on himself a little bit. So if there is any pushback, we have to mention that. And but I understand it, both sides of it. I just think that, and I want to say Jane Slater maybe even brought that up in the presser or something like that. I can't remember who it was, but it was one of those beat writers that brought up, hey, you kind of talked and you discussed this with CeeDee Lamb about being more of a leader. How come you weren't voluntary? And then he goes in like, Aaron Donald was in that voluntary camps and he was winning Defensive Players of the Year. Well, I'll push back a little bit on that, Micah, because you have yet to win a Defensive Player of the Year. So you're not Aaron Donald. Now, yes, you are very good. You've been an All-Pro all 3 years of your career. Yeah. But don't compare yourself to probably the greatest defensive player I've ever witnessed, at least, and possibly of all time. So a little bit of pushback on that. But overall, man, I think that it's overblown. It's just a headline.
Yeah. Headline. No, because I'll give you this. When you talk about the greats and you say you have to say the greatest defensive players of all time, linemen, especially, you go Lawrence Taylor, Aaron Donald, and you want to say Micah Parsons, but boy, you're going to have to see a lot more years, more years, right? You're just going to have to see at least 4 more years of what he's been doing. And so far, he's been doing enough to get those mentions. Sam, do you have anything real quick that you'd like to say on just kind of Micah and where he's at as a leader on the team and kind of your role for him, and if this whole him and Zimmer not talking means anything to you?
Well, I mean, it does. I mean, they're going to have to find a way to meet in the middle, I guess. I mean, they're going to have to communicate. That's part of being on the team, in my opinion. I mean, one way or another, they're going to have to figure something out. For Micah being a leader, I mean, yes, I think he is. I think he has that. And I don't know, like you said, that alpha, but I don't know if that's the leader part of him. I just think he's built like that. I think he might go about it a different way than what we all would think. I think he's a little tough, a little not necessarily my way or the highway, but kind of more.
It's the only way I know how to do it, I think.
Yeah, that's how I feel. Like, he's just rough. I mean, that's probably why he's good at what he does. He's rough all around. I do think he has the right to a point to voice his opinion on everything, but I think he also has to realize that his name is out there. He's big in the news outlets. What he say is going to come back on him, and not only him, but kind of all of us as Cowboys. So he has to be kind of wary, and I don't know.
Yeah. No, it's because when you talk about that, like you said, to your point, he knows what he says in the podcast things and the me and Zimmer haven't talked and is he a leader? He knows these things will be said, but I think at the same time you can play the card, and he may be playing the card of as long as those things just continue to be said on rinse and repeat, they become less like they hold less weight. You know what I mean? So
Mhm.
like, oh look, Mike is on like when we go into this season. Last season it got to a point to where why are you on a podcast? We just lost this game. You know, people you're chirping. Well, look, Mike is not taking it serious. He's doing this in off time. I think that'll become a little less. We'll probably hear it the first few weeks. Let us lose against Baltimore, lose a couple early games, something like that, and he's still on podcast talking and going into these events, and people are going to say what people are going to say, but it all becomes a wash at some point. Players have to be people. People
Right.
talk. Look, what we're this is what we're doing is sitting out here talking about Cowboys. You don't think one of the Dallas Cowboys wants to sit around and talk about the Dallas
They have
Cowboys
a
sometime?
right to do it.
So,
Yeah.
just like EJ said, a right to voice his opinion, and so yeah, no, 100%. And so we'll move on to kind of close out the show here and kind of get wrapping up. We're going in the last 20 minutes of an hour. We'll keep it before an hour. I know everybody's busy. We're gonna have some questions for you here in just a few minutes, EJ. Everybody's got a quick question for you, but we'll toss it over to you. Do you have anything specifically you want to get off your chest? Anything you'd like to ask anybody on the show, or any what's on EJ's mind? We want to know when it comes. What's the most important thing when it comes to
Man.
Cowboys Nation for EJ Savage?
Man, I'll go back to the front office with this, perpetual mindset of the same continual thing over and over and over, of not paying your guys the contracts that you should be getting ahead of, your best players that have made all pros. Last year you had 9 all pros. You're returning 8 of those guys back to the team. So while I want to say pump the brakes, like I don't think this team got better, they didn't get a whole lot worse. Like
And we have good players.
realistically speaking,
Yeah.
we have good players, and
That's right.
and so much of the NFL is about health and
Very
getting
true.
hot at the right time, and then
Oh, yeah.
more importantly than anything, it's matchups in the playoffs.
Dang.
If you're going to go match up against a team like the 49ers that have had your number for how many years now, we know that's not a good matchup. And so you've got to pick and choose. Are we going to work on our deficiencies, or are we going to continue to work on what we do very well so it doesn't show up in the game? And I don't think that the Cowboys have a good grasp on that right now, which leaves me in a little bit of a spot of despondency with the team. But regardless, I think we're going to make the playoffs. I think that we're going to be better than the Eagles. I think that this is going to be the first repeat we've seen in a long time.
There you go.
I don't really like what the Eagles have done in the offseason. And then the other 2 little brothers, I'm not even worried about. So it all comes to playoff time. What can you do in, early January, late February? Because that's where true legends of the game are made. You can only, get to, those grand halls so much by what you do in the regular season. It really comes down to those playoff games, and that's my biggest critique of Dak Prescott. I love the guy, and I've said it early on in the show. You've lucked into some quarterbacks. Don't fool yourself into thinking that you're good at evaluating quarterbacks, and the luck of the draw hasn't met you at the place that it has, because if you want to roll with the Trey Lance, if you want to go back to the draft, I don't think it's going to bode well for you. That's just my opinions on the whole thing. So I'll leave it at that.
Boy, well, listen, chat. I don't know if you guys are watching or if you cared about any segment of the show or paying attention to any part of the show, but go watch the last 3 minutes of that. That was EJ's
That was poignant.
truth, and that was good. No, you got me in a little bit in my feels about this team and what we want to see.
I don't want to set out like a referendum for the team or anything like that, because I am a super fan. Like I'm going to go to the games and stuff, but it's gotten so demoralizing from this front office recently.
Yeah.
And I can't
Sure.
help to sit and soak in my sorrows with this team.
No, and I'm glad you said. Go ahead, Blanchard.
Yeah, no, I was just saying we have a few minutes left. He kind of led me right into my question. So
Okay.
we were all going to shoot a question at him and kind of wrap it up. It kind of relates to the front office. It's a short or long term, I can't tell you, kind of a knock on wood thing. When Stephen Jones is the owner CEO of the Dallas Cowboys, does it go the right direction? Does it go the same direction?
Great question.
I don't like that repugnant statement, bro. That just makes me so sick in my like. I think that I really truthfully think that Stephen Jones is already controlling the team a lot.
Already 100%. Jerry doesn't trump him.
No, I think Jerry does have a voice. It's almost like the old person gets Alzheimer's and you kind of just let them speak, because if you try to interject and try to shut it down, it just goes longer. You know, so I don't know how much of an actual say he does have. He probably does, because I mean he's signing all the checks and whatnot. But at the end of the day,
I'm with you. Maybe
and
the past 4 or 5 years he already has been.
That's the Stephen Jones coin term. At the end of the day, I hate to use that, but at the end of the day, it doesn't make me feel any better about the team moving forward, unless he's willing to completely swallow his pride and say, "Hey, Will McClay, you got the reins now."
There you go. That's kind of kind of the thing I want to hear. I want to hear basically. Will Stephen Jones do that? Because that feels like the pathway. Go ahead.
All right, Sammy. Well, you've got a question for Mr. EJ Savage, I hope. What is your question?
Something simple. I mean, I'm just so who do you want to be our key player this year? I mean, I guess not key. Who do you want to be the best rookie we have if all goes well in training camp or whatever, versus who do you think is going to be the best? I don't know if you have a different answer, but I'm just
who needs to be the best. Yeah.
There you go. That's good one.
I definitely have different answers for this. Who I need to be the best is Tyler Guyton. I don't think there's any question about it.
Yeah.
We've seen what Chuma Edoga is. Asim Richards couldn't beat out Chuma Edoga last year for the spot. I don't feel good about any of the other, Matt Willetsko's, Josh Ball, any of those guys. So, or your absolute emergency plan would be kicking over Tyler Guyton or Tyler Smith. I mean.
Yeah.
And I don't love that either. So you really need Tyler Guyton to be good. And I'm not saying like all pro, even a Pro Bowl level, but just not bad. Like, who was the guys? Chaz Green and Cam Irving.
Better than all them.
Yeah, better than those guys. Better than Chuma Edoga, and I think you can get by. Realistically, I really do. So. That's who I think needs to be the best, who I want to be the best. Well, I would probably side on Tyler Guyton, who I want to be the best, but who I think is going to be the best this year is Cooper Beebe. I just feel like he's a mauler. He comes in, understands the game at a pragmatic sense of going about it. And I think that's going to serve well for you losing Tyler Biadasz, because he was calling out protections last year, and that was taken away from Dak. And I think that helped Dak a lot last year, not having to have all control of protection and then trying to figure out what's happening in the secondary, trying to read all of that. Oh, he's getting a play call, and like all of those things, 1,000 things thrown at you a minute can lead to some errors. And I think that Dak, that's one of the reasons why I really thought that Dak cleaned up some of those interceptions. Also, just getting that West Coast offense in general and just getting that foot, the drop steps and all that in sync with specific routes and whatnot. So I think that Cooper Beebe is going to be the best day one. Come in here, he's just seen so much football, and he I mean, a lot of people don't know this, but coming in at K-State, he was recruited as a defensive tackle, so he's accustomed to knowing what they want to do against him as well. So I like Cooper Beebe a lot, and I think it was a real steal to drop back a couple spots in that first round and then eventually pick up that third rounder to have the ability to get
that might have been what allowed us to get him. You're right.
Yeah. No, that's.
Hey, piggyback
100%.
off that real quick. I know that was EJ's question, but my sneaky one there would be Kalen Carson. I think that's a Will McClay pick. Not someone who's going to be completely revolutionary, but someone who's like, what? This don't look like a 6th round pick now. This
Now,
looks
if
like
you,
a player who might be on the football team. Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah.
some of his tape against Keon Coleman is really really good to watch. It's really nice. No, Kalen Carson's got something. Sam, great question.
Yeah.
Sam, you got everybody wanting to answer it because it wasn't my question. I'm going to
Yeah.
answer it, and I'm going to say it. I need it to and want it to be, and it has to be Mr. Cooper BB because I'm all about as a super fan now as Sam is for Tony Pollard. I
Whoop,
love
whoop.
Cooper. I love Papa BB. I love that family. They are some of
Yeah.
the coolest people. We were fortunate enough to have Papa BB on the show on the 24-hour telethon live stream that we did.
There you go.
And so you heard, and he talked about some of what you just said, EJ, like his ability to learn on the fly, adapt, switch position. I want to play anywhere on the field. I'll
Yep.
try to play corner if you want me to, coach. I don't know if I can do it, but I'll give it a shot. Like
Yeah.
he has that mentality, and I think he will thrive. And boy, don't let this young offensive line. You know, when you turn around and look at our offensive line and you go, wait, Zach Martin's the veteran. That's fresh. That feels fresh. Let them be good. Let them be top 5, top 6 in this league. All of a sudden,
sorry to cut you off here.
No, please feel free.
You know, yes, Tyler Guyton needs to be good, but what has Dak struggled with more is interior pressure up the middle.
Yeah,
and
Tony
so
Romo
you,
as well.
you have a good point about Cooper BB needs to be good as well. I mean, that's a real thing.
Yeah, and for the
Needs
run
to
game,
be
right?
as
If we
well,
want to
yeah.
establish these good zone schemes, and we want to, be powerful up the middle, and we were bad in short yardage situations last year, right? Let's be strong in the middle and make that a difference again.
Yeah, get the
So-
run gaming going. You know.
For sure. So, okay, now with that being said, we're going to wrap up the show, and I saved the most important question that has to be answered for last. I have to know this. The world has to know. Cowboys Nation is dying to know. Star Wars, Star Trek, or neither?
There's
Okay,
only one
so-
good answer.
For me, I'm a big Star Wars guy. Big Obi-Wan Kenobi kind of guy as well.
All right, you can come back to the show, everybody. EJ will get a return to the show.
Yeah,
All right, that was close.
I never got super into Stargate. Is a good call by Falcon. I actually kind of liked that.
Stargate
no, but
Falcons.
Star
SG-1.
Trek. Yeah, I never really got into it all that much. You know, I know the Klingon, stuff. Spock and whatnot. But I never got really into Star Trek. Star Wars is just so nostalgic, though. I mean, even like Phantom of the Menace, which was like a bad movie in all of its rights, it just has that. You just get that nostalgic feeling from it. Like it's quirky and it's kind of funny and even Clone Wars with the legendary Anakin line, sand is coarse and it's uncomfortable or whatever, like all of those things, man. The droids talking and Revenge of the Sith, I love all those ones. Not super big on the Disney adaptations and whatnot,
The very
but
newest, sure.
those were even pretty decent in their own rights. I felt like they could have done some better things, but obviously jumping from director on all of those movies kind of messed up some of that. But yeah, definitely Star Wars, man.
And no, you're good, Falcon. Falcon says neither Trek nor Wars, so don't kill him. Well, neither was an option, so you chose neither, so that's fine. He wasn't allowed to say Trek. He
Right.
dodged the bullet. EJ survived. You can come back on the show.
Definitely.
And with that being said, thank you for being on the show tonight, brother. We're
Thank
gonna wrap this up. Does anybody have any closing thoughts or anything they want to say or shout out?
For EJ, not only for being on, but for being on what we're going to consider our first live episode. A lot of work goes into, and you know it because you put on a show every single week. There's a lot of work that goes into putting something like this on. It took some troubleshooting. You've had us on your show a couple of times in the meantime. Shared knowledge with us. Awesome to have you on, and
Yes.
we'll definitely do it again.
Yes,
Absolutely.
I
Yeah,
just
And
have
more
one
this season's
question
coming up.
after.
So.
Go ahead, Sammy.
Oh, this is totally irrelevant, but it has stuck with me since you said it. And just because I'm a freak for Tony Pollard, the only TP is Tony Pollard.
Knew it was coming,
Sorry,
too. I seen
Terrence
the reaction.
Parsons. I just could not let that go. I had to make sure you knew at one point.
Knew it was coming.
Oh, I saw the disgust on your face when I said it.
I know.
Um,
I tried to hide it, but I just couldn't do it. I'm sorry.
Oh man, we got Des Bryant in the chat, man.
He
Hey, throw up
even
the
says-
X.
Look,
He even says, "Hi, I'm
Hi.
the real Des Bryant." Well, what's up, man? Well, listen,
No,
Des, you were the reason for our show. You inspired the star we are. So thanks for stopping by, brother.
Real quick, shameless plug. Catch my show, Boys in the Letter In the Zone. Tomorrow I'm gonna have Mike Tag on my show, and we're gonna chop it up, all things Cowboys, every single Tuesday night around 8 p.m. CST.
Outstanding.
Sweet.
Well, you know, we'll be there, and I'm sure most of the chat better get in there. And
yes,
everybody have a good night.
Yeah, so absolutely. Thanks again, EJ, for stopping by. Sammy, good night. Landry's Legend, EJ Savage. This is Jimmy J's here. Don't forget to follow us, like, subscribe, share everything you see. All the Cowboys content creators out there are killing it. We can't go down the list because it's way too long. Go
50
find
away
them.
from 5K giveaway. 50
away.
followers away.
Thank you, Samantha. Stealing words right out of my mouth. We've got a 5K giveaway coming up. We've got a raffle going on right now. Lots of good things in the works. Lots of good things coming up. We got confirmation that the BB family will be stopping by the Cowboys Cave tailgate. If you get to come to the stadium, Arlington, Week 3 against the Ravens, that's cool news. Chat, thank you for stopping by. EJ, again, it's always our pleasure, brother, an esteemed guest, our favorite. And Cowboys Nation, have a good night. And remember, fan responsibly.